And welcome back to the Breezy Boss Life. I am Lisa Sabala, and today's episode is a bit of a heart-to-heart because we are talking about something so simple, but honestly, it's one of the most powerful things that you can do to lead well. It's actually just a very small action, habitual action. You want to know what it is? Here it is. It is using your assistant's name. Using their name in communication. That's it. Very simple. That is all. Using your assistant's name when you communicate. So hear me out, because this episode might shift the way you think about leadership and the kind of culture you're building in your business if you want to have an easy breezy boss life. Here is my quick story. So a few months ago, one of my former clients who have become a close friend to me virtually, she forwarded me an email that she received from her assistant. So we commonly share business experiences or anecdotes with each other because we've become quite close. So she sent me this email, and the message from her assistant was actually quite professional and kind, but at the end, the assistant gently wrote, "Thanks so much, but by the way, my name is Rina, R-I-N-A, not Rina, R-E-E-N-A. Just wanted to clarify since this has been happening a lot." Oof. Now, what my friend told me was that she has been consistently misspelling her assistant's name for over a month, and this wasn't the first time Rina had said something. So it was a little, not really a little, but quite embarrassing that the mistake kept happening, not on purpose, but just overlooked. And look, I get it, we're all busy. But that one small thing can mean everything. One person's name, it could mean everything. Using someone's name and getting it right says that I see you. You're not just here to check off my to-do list. You're not just an assistant paper pusher to me. You actually matter. Now, this story actually hit me personally. So let me take you back to something even more personal. When I was starting out as a virtual assistant, I worked for 50 cents an hour. Yes, you heard that right. I worked for 50 cents, half a dollar an hour. And I was desperate to land a job, any job. So I took whatever I could. Any gig would do. Like, does it pay? Okay, I'm in. That was my mentality back then when I was a newbie virtual assistant. And there was this client who hired me. He had an existing team, and during the onboarding call with a few other newbies, we were introduced to everyone who were already in the team. And one by one, each person said something strange. And it was like, "Hi, I'm John, but my real name is Lucas." And then the next one would say, "Welcome to the team. My name's Ellen, but actually Antonia." And this went on. They would say, "Nice to meet you. I'm David, but my real name is Johan." That kept going, and I was confused at first. I really was. As a newbie, it was very confusing. It turns out that they all had fake names assigned to them by the client. These weren't fun nicknames either. They were labels. You had to use the fake name during your work. No exceptions. And then it was my turn. I found out my new name, my new work name, was Kathy, not Lisa. Kathy. And that's who I became in the team. I answered emails as Kathy. I answered messages as Kathy. I signed off as Kathy. But deep down, it felt wrong. It felt wrong when I was using someone else's name. At first, I stayed for a while. I was just starting out as a virtual assistant, and I needed a job. But as time went on, things got worse. The client would assign tasks with deadlines that were due yesterday. He would rush the team, he nitpicked on our timesheets, and never really treated us like people, just roles. Eventually, I found out that the reason behind the fake names was that this client didn't want to get attached to any of us. He didn't want to get attached to his team members. He literally gave each job role a name, and no matter who held the position, the name stayed the same. So, John was in charge of graphics, Ellen would be ads, David would be admin, and me, I was the third Kathy. I was the third Kathy that they hired for content writing. The other Kathys before me had quit. And when they left, he didn't even update the name, just slapped it onto the next person in line because he didn't have time to remember names. It's like, that's beyond me, that's not really important. I don't have the time to remember your names, I'm just gonna call you Kathy. Okay? So, when I finally decided that I'm going to step out of the team and I sent in my 2-week notice to the client, he didn't even reply. Instead, he immediately removed me from the Microsoft Teams group. He cut off all my access to the files and wiped me out of the system just like that. I didn't even get paid for my last week's work. I was gone, and then a new Kathy would take my place. But here's the thing, I wasn't Kathy. I was Lisa. I am Lisa. And that experience taught me a lesson I will never forget. I made a pact with myself that if I was ever going to be a virtual assistant again for a different client, I would only work with people who valued me for who I am. That decision changed everything. Now that I lead my own team at 8.8, that lesson shows up in how we run things. So when someone in our team shows signs of struggling, our first step isn't to criticize, it's to check in. And I work closely with our HR, or as we like to call our HR, our happiness officer. We ask, why is this team member struggling? Is everything okay? Is this person facing something hard at home or in his or her personal life? Can we help? Do they need coaching or support? How can we make things better? Those were the go-to questions that we had when things didn't go as they should for that team member performing in their job. Because here's what I believe. If someone values their job, they will show up well. And when they show up well, it's because they feel valued too. Of course, that doesn't mean you can just slack off and expect others to carry your weight. No. Everyone in our team is expected to perform well and pull their share. But that's because they know that they matter. They're not just a cog in the machine, they're part of something that sees them and believes in them. And I want that for your team too. If you're hiring a virtual assistant or building a small crew of team members, start that culture of value now. Don't wait until someone burns out or quietly leaves because they felt unseen. And you know how you can start to make someone feel seen in your team? Just start with their name. Say their name, spell it right, use their name with intention. That's how trust begins. That's how loyalty is built. That's how people become proud to be on your team, and not just for the paycheck, but because they believe in what you're building together. So yeah, this episode isn't about fancy systems or complicated leadership strategies or automations. It's about something beautifully simple. Know your people. Say their names. Use their names. Make your team members feel seen. That's the Easy Breezy Boss way. Thank you for listening. I will see you in another episode, How to Delegate Like a Boss.